to Mélanie Lemay, Camagneron, Chloé Lenné, Christopher Darby, Evan Dean, from Olivier Garneau. Salut! As most of you know, I'll be attending the Chicago shareholders meeting from the 15th to the 17th, and they'll want to see our progress with the Kenway line. The small amount of data we have already gathered is incredible, and we anticipate even more amazing finds in the near future. The events and people we have seen so far make us confident that the complete experience will be one of the most eye-opening explorations of piracy ever seen. It will take quite a bit of work to scrub the data of objectionable and classified material, but we already have some incredibly promising footage. At the same time, Abstergo Entertainment will soon be announcing a closed beta for our new Consumer Cloud Interface app. Sexy name forthcoming. Edward Kenway's virtual pirate experience will be the first complete product on offer, and the first of its kind anywhere. An immersive, interactive pirate experience, yar, drawn from actual historical data. Datar. Someone has to laugh, it may as well be me. Internal tests of our consumer cloud app have been encouraging, and we anticipate it will be ready in time for the next holiday season if everything goes according to plan. So, this leads us to a broader question. What other experiences would we like to offer? What other historical periods and locations can we explore? Judging by our current rate of data retrieval, our capacity to produce, and our understanding of consumption trends, executives at Abstergo Industries have given me the goal of producing one complete virtual experience per annum. That went well. In addition to smaller offerings, as our research allows. This includes books, recordings, films, and any other transmedia offerings. A second related question is this. Does Sample 17 contain enough compelling data to sustain our current commitment to it, or should we make a request to Abstergo Industries for additional archive data? Remember that data from Sample 1 proved fruitful enough to create our Liberation product? Ooh. Ooh. It's very likely that research into samples 2 through 16 would bear... Ooh. That's really good, because that actually allows them to do all kinds of different things, even that aren't, like, Anglo-Saxon in kind of origin. Like, well, I mean, even then, Altair. Fair. I mean, then you've got Altair, but like Asia and Africa, or South America, would have those connections. Right. Hello all, thanks for opening this discussion, Olivier. Just a brief heads up with where we stand now. I've seen this Sample 17 project director for just over a year now. My team and I have been able to... Who's this? Is this Melanie? Melanie, yeah. For just over a year now, and my team and I have been able to cobble together a rough list of the most interesting time periods available to us through this single genetic sample. Remember, this is data that has already been fully or partially sequenced by Abstergo Industries. I'll try to be brief. Patrilineal line. The Italian Renaissance. Okay. What? Sorry, I'm getting thrown. I'm reading ahead. I'm being naughty. 15th century Italian Renaissance. 16th century Ottoman Empire. 18th century American Colonies War for Independence. So that's Hatham and Connor. 19th century New England and American Midwest. So I assume the patrilineal line is also this piracy. Well, it's also kind of what we're doing now. The matrilineal line, that's Holy Land Crusades, that's Altair. Which is a bit weird, because I would have thought that you either have that link... that would make more sense to link it. That's why I went, that would seem to fit in better with the Ottoman Empire. That's Ezio Auditore da Firenze. Which, okay, that's what confused me. But even then... no, because they changed it in Revelations, didn't they? In 2, it was kind of like, seemed to be kind of a one-off thing, didn't it? Never mind. 13th century, Egypt and Northern Africa. So that's probably another crusade? That's... Oh, hang on. I know in some crusades they went to Egypt because Egypt was kind of the kind of political and military power of the time, so they needed to take there before going to the Holy Land, and so they conquered that before moving on. Well, but that was the plan. They didn't. 14th century, Ashikaga Shogunate in Japan. 19th century, New England and American Midwest. Don't know enough about... I don't know enough about American history to know what that could be. I mean, it could, of course, be the War of 1812, which went on to 1815. And the final battle of the War of 1812 was 2 weeks after the peace treaty was signed. Which is kind of standard for this period, because... yeah. Right. Although it's kind of... I think that the thing that's intriguing me is the patrilineal line is very European. I know America... I know it's the United States, but they're European colonies. Whereas the matrilineal line seems to be all over the place. 14th century Ashikaga shogunate in Japan. 18th century, the French Revolution. 19th century, Napoleonic Wars. Which, in a way, was an extension of the French Revolution. I think Unity's the French Revolution. I don't know anything about the character, but the character could be continued on into the Napoleonic era. And then Taiwan... don't know. Don't know enough about this. Is the thing, is there's bits and bobs of this. And I think that's kind of why I'm really excited about some of these ideas. Because, like, I don't know. The Ashikaga shogunate. When was the... was it Sengoku period? I wonder when that was. I don't think it's 14th century. I think it's later. 20th century, Summer of Love, American Pacific Coast. Okay, so we've got 15th century Italy. Okay, Italy didn't exist, but we're going to count that. The Ottoman Empire, that's a bit vague, considering Greece was in the Ottoman Empire. Then you've got the USA, then the USA, then the Holy Land / Crusades. Again, not sure where that is. Egypt, Northern Africa, so say Egypt. Japan, France, Napoleonic Wars, all over the place. Taiwan, and then the United States again. Very, very US heavy. They know who the principal market is. Obviously, this is just a small sample of the potential options. The number of ancestors any one person has is well above 30,000 after just 15 generations. So there could be many more surprises waiting for us within sample 17. As he's of European descent, he's almost certainly got Charlemagne somewhere there. It's a logical argument, because if you go back to the Charlemagne era, because of the way branches, like if you keep branching, eventually you reach such a point that everyone, in theory, is related to you, because your number of ancestors is greater than the population of certainly of Europe, and at some point the world. So there has to be some point where everyone kind of merges up, unless everyone just kind of links back into their own trees. I don't know. However, despite Sample 17's rich heritage, we should not limit ourselves to this alone if we have concrete leads elsewhere. For instance, quite a few men from all sides of my family fought in both world wars, and I even have a great-great-grandfather who fought in the American Civil War. Yes, because we need more World War games. Although, American Civil War could be quite interesting. I don't think there's many video games set during that era. I wonder what they do in World Wars. I'd want to see I'd want to see a resistance somewhere. Maybe a member of the Black Orchestra in Germany. No, you'd have to be a minor figure in that, because I think a lot of them are well known. The Black Orchestra in Germany was an organization set up to assassinate Hitler. They tried, I think, early 40s, or they were going to do it, and then something happened, and I have read this. And they tried again. They tried again in 44 and failed, and were all captured, and I think all of them were executed. Happiness. So you could do something like that. I'd be worried that if you do a World War Assassin's Creed game, it becomes run around, shoot everyone kind of thing. Whereas I prefer it when it is, although I'm not good at the stealth, kind of the more kind of thinking through things. Like, they could have gone down the shooty, killy route in Pirates, but they haven't. I quite like that. I mean, then again, you've got something like Freedom Fighters. Like, you could do something like that for your resistance movement. I don't know. I managed to meet President Lincoln a few times too. Oh, your great-great-grandfather. Going the streets is a little more costly and time-consuming since the data has not already been sequenced, but it could be rewarding in the long run. In short, if anyone has any confirmed connections to interesting historical events, periods, or cities, or knows of people who do, please share. I will also be reviewing the past 3 decades of samples collected and sequenced by Abstergo Industries. I recently learned that one of their samples, number 2, I believe, participated in the trial of Jeanne d'Arc. So there's a nice lead right there. Who have we got here? So that's World War One, I assume. That's... okay, so there's something in Egypt. And that's actually early on, because they're building the pyramids. That, I assume, is Ezio. World War One. I wonder if they do something with one of the Christmas truces. There was one in 1914, which is fairly all over the place. 1915, I think the generals banned it, but then they did it anyway. So, I don't know who the one on the left is. That's the problem. So, Jeanne d'Arc is the second one, I suspect, and the third one is the French Revolution. Right, okay. From Olivier Garneau. A word of caution, all good points, Mel. A word of caution, though. Sample 2 comes from the late Dr. Warren Vidic himself, collected at some point in the early 80s when he was a young engineer working at Abstergo Industries. So, as tempting as a Jeanne d'Arc experience sounds, I'm not sure Abstergo Industries would be too keen on letting us rummage around at Dr. Vidic's DNA. It's just a sensitive topic. And of course, then you'd have to be working for the British. Who wants to do that? For my own part, I'm related to... dear. For my own part, I'm related to François Xavier Garneau, noted Quebecois, historian and poet. Exciting, right? Possibly. I have no idea who that is. Canadians? Help me. One additional caveat, let's avoid digging into any modern periods, i.e. 20th century, unless we find something incredibly compelling. Because, as fun as a World War II setting might sound, we do well to avoid any settings with vehicles, cars, motorcycles, helicopters, tanks, etc. Why, you may ask? Because our research has shown that memory imprinting in individuals is actually hampered by the semi-catatonic state most people enter when driving for medium and long periods of time, and this makes data retrieval somewhat more difficult. In short, we don't want to go through the effort of coding extra animus features just for the sake of digging up memories of people driving around in cars. There are others and more efficient ways to experience that. Or you could... I get, because I don't think they... I think they said they didn't want to do stuff that everyone does, but like, okay, 1956, Budapest Hungary decides to rebel against Soviet influence, and Budapest rises and win, and they kick out the Soviets, I think, for a week, and then they come back, and it doesn't go well for the people. That's a game of, I think, about a week of gameplay. Well, a week of action, doing all kinds of different things. So I think that'd be kind of cool. Right, Olivier. Haha! Quebec City is beautiful, but without pirates, ninjas, or zombies, I'm not sure how well a story about a historian would sell. Also keep in mind, samples 4 and 16 might be off limits too. While doing my own research last month, I caught wind of some exciting characters buried in these streamed samples. But as soon as I started digging, I was told by people far, far above me to stop. Very odd, but not surprising, I suppose. AE has a lot of active military contacts. Did I just knock my mouse? I may have done. Lot of active military contracts. I assume these had something to do with that. I didn't push back. So they're using some, I don't know. As far as maybe they got scientists and they're using some of their findings to help. I don't know. As far as my own, if anyone is interested, my great grandfather was friends with Hemingway and Stein and Satie and Picasso when he lived in Paris in the 1920s. No action-packed adventures there, but historically interesting. Just throwing it out there. Yes, Chris, is our lunch meeting on site or off? Yes, as much as I love the Lost Generation, I think our first few virtual experiences will need to be a little more action-oriented. So wars and major combat operations are always a good starting point, or any periods of intense conflict, really. As for pirates, ninjas, zombies, we could easily accommodate the first two, but zombies are a bit, how do you say, ahistorical? Too bad, really. Depends what you mean by zombies. Voodoo zombies sometimes happen in the Caribbean, allegedly. My great-grandmother, for instance, worked alongside Aimon de Valera and Michael Collins, Christopher Darby, for many years during the Irish War for Independence. Oh, so it's not... So, okay. So Aimon de Valera. during the Irish War of Independence. Oh, don't do that, Ubisoft. That's gonna cause a lot of issues. So it wouldn't be... And before anyone says it, you're siding with the Irish in that game. I'd probably get a bit miffed about the fact you're killing British people, but you ain't spinning the Brits to be heroes in that. So it wouldn't be difficult to sequence that small segment of my own genetic memories for our purpose. Olivier, actually there is a factual basis for zombies, or zombification anyway. Read Hurston's book on Haiti and the strange voodoo practice there. It may not be Hollywood-style zombie magic, but it's creepy nonetheless. In Liberation, Aveline came into contact with voodoo hungans. If we dug further into that, I wonder what we could find. Her mentor, Agate, was into some weird stuff. Kale, offsite. There's a new vegetarian site I want to try. I'll bring the spec sheets, they're already printed. Sorry to be a dissenter, but couldn't we be using this technology to educate, not placate? Don't you realise that's what the education system's job is? To just... Oh my goodness, this is going to be an interesting video. Or two. I don't know how long this reading has been. I mean, theoretically, we have all of human history to explore, all of our achievements and brightest moments, so it's a little disheartening to hear we need to focus on wars and conflicts and violence. It's not that I am against violence per se, it's just that violence isn't terribly interesting in bulk. That's all. There's so much more nuance to life, and I think we could explore that. So what if we found the memories of someone who worked with Albert Einstein in his patent office? That sounds thrilling. Or Charles Darwin on the Beagle. That does sound thrilling. Or Marie Curie in France. Moments where humans showed their very best potential. Evandine. Okay, come on. Until oily, humorless university professors start paying us 8-figure fees to research the reification of normative gender signifiers in pre-colonial India, why don't we just stick to stuff that's... What? I'm talking Jack the Ripper in Victorian London. No one knows who that is! No one knows who that... Okay, they know it's Jack the Ripper. Okay, that's as far we've got. I'm talking about guillotines. Robespierre and Napoleon Bonaparte in the French Revolution. Why does that have a question mark? Mr. Dean, I need to teach you about grammar. French Revolution would be awesome. Well, question is, are we talking about the French Revolution, or are we talking about a French Revolution? I'm talking about Billy the Kid and Wyatt Earp in the wild American West. I'm talking about Genghis Khan and the Mongols killing a city of millions in the span of a long summer weekend. Action, blood, adventure, conflict. Because we're not going to earn back 1/10 of the money we have poured into this, reliving the memories of the guy who sat next to Einstein as he bit his nails while working out the finer details of general relativity in his head. Yes. For sake, man, this is a business, not a group therapy session. Evan, let's take this offline. Okay. Okay. Oh, was this? Oh, no, that was someone else. I like that idea. I mean, you can do stuff with that. I probably could have actually read that elsewhere. Oh well.